than we did through the first 5 weeks. And I think I've found 8 amazing starting options for you, whether you were already going to start them, whether you drafted them in the second or third round, or you need a flex spot, you need a bye week filler. You are in the right spot right here. I'm Dave Lockram from Awesemo.com. And as always, we're breaking it all down, must starts and sits for week 6. Let's get into it. Oh, before we do, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Only takes a second. And I'll tell you what, you guys have been killing it with the subs lately on this video. Greatly appreciated. Does not go unnoticed. But if you haven't subbed yet, and a lot of people watching these videos still don't, hit that subscribe button and leave a comment down below. What do you think of these starters, and who is your must start and must sit for week 6? I read all the comments. I try and respond to them as well. Let's dive into it. Devontae Smith has played pretty damn well for a rookie. He's the wide receiver 33 through 5 weeks, which isn't anything crazy, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he was a top 20 receiver after week 6. Here's why. While Smith only has 1 touchdown on the year, he's already had 2 of them called back by penalties. He's amassed an incredible 556 air yards, good for 8th most in football, and has a behemoth 45% share of his team's air yards, which ranks behind only Brandon Cooks, Calvin Ridley, Tyreek Hill, and Terry McLaurin. And while there were some concerns about the Eagles being a run-first team with a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, only 4 teams have a lower game script adjusted rush play percentage than Philadelphia. So basically, the Eagles are running at the 5th lowest clip in football regardless of game script. Oh, and even though Smith has only caught 2 of his 9 deep targets this year, and we all know air yards are nothing without you actually being able to haul some of them in, the man gets open. So the big plays are definitely coming. Now he's going to face the biggest pass funnel defense in the league when the Bucs come to Lincoln Financial Field. You simply cannot run against Tampa Bay, and teams aren't even trying to anymore. They've only seen 79 rushing attempts against them through 5 weeks, but they've already coughed up 13 passing touchdowns and a league-high 225 attempts against. Tampa's offense, combined with their run defense, is so good that teams have no choice but to air it out for 60 straight minutes. There's just no way I'm sitting Smith on Thursday night. And by the way, if you're short on tight end options, Zach Ertz might be in play. Dallas Goedert is on the COVID-19 reserve list for a Thursday night football game. Assuming he doesn't play, that's going to open a lot up for Zach Ertz at the tight end position. Meanwhile, I'm sitting all of the Eagles' backfield. Like I said, 2.9 yards per attempt allowed on the ground for Tampa Bay this year. And opponents are only averaging 15.8 rushing attempts per game. Given the uncertainty in the backfield between Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell, it's a really tough spot to feel good about anybody. But if you're going to go with anyone here, I'd lean Kenneth Gainwell, only because if one of these guys is going to have a Myles Gaskin type performance from last week, it would probably be him. But still, very tough situation for the backs in Philadelphia. Let's get something out of the way before we get to our next players. You're starting Jamar Chase this week. And if you drafted Joe Burrow as your starting quarterback, you're starting him too. Chase is the clear #1 option in Cincinnati right now, and he has been dominant as a rookie. So I'm not going to spend time talking about why he should be in your starting lineups. You know what the play is here. But what about T. Higgins and Joe?
My mic is hot no matter when I'm talking into it.
Yeah, man. Those are some fire beats you're spitting before we went live.
Oh, we didn't record all of my freestyles. That's a shame. Just hot fire. And we are live. Welcome to the NFL Strategy Show Lineup Construction Edition. It is Friday, October 15th. I am Josh Engelman. I am joined by the boss man himself, Alex Baker. You guys know him as Awesemo. He and I have not done this show in a hot minute, so we are finally back together again. It's good to see. Hit that like button, everybody. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. And give a little bit of a shout out to Jock Market for being the presenting sponsor of this show. Today, we are building FanDuel Cash. We are building a DK GPP lineup. We got to get it all in 30 minutes, but we got to start here. Alex, how are you?
Good, man. Interesting showdown slate last night where it seemed like the Bucs stack really paid off. But that's behind us. Now we got to do main slate, so it's a whole different game.
We do, and it's our first week of buys, so the player pool in its entirety a little bit different. Ownership on every individual is going to be slightly higher because you just have less guys to get it. So changes the scope of what we're doing a little bit, but in the grand scheme of things, It's the same mechanism. We're building for FanDuel cash. We're building for DK GPP. I wanted to hit you with just a general question before we got into the FanDuel cash build. I know more often than not, we're going to be looking at using Fantasy Cruncher when we're doing this. But for somebody that doesn't have Fantasy Cruncher, doesn't have an optimizer to use, what are some of the first things that you would be looking for in some of our tools, whether that's on the Boom Bust tool or just our projections or ownership? What are some of the first things you would be looking at when trying to construct a cash lineup without an optimizer?
So what I'm looking at is mainly the projections and the value. So I'll just go to our projections, or if you have Express, hit up our big board that has ratings out of 100, like that correlate to how much I think everyone should be owned that week. So either one of those is a pretty good tool for cash.
All righty. That's what I like to hear. Well, speaking of cash, I think it's about that time that we build a FanDuel cash lineup. We've got some interesting options this week, including a monstrous projection on Lamar Jackson at a salary that isn't all that problematic. Devontae Adams, Austin Eckler, Tyreek Hill, Mark Andrews. These are some of the guys that I was just taking a look at right out of the gate that stood out to me. Do you see someone that's an obvious first guy in for a cash lineup on FanDuel?
There's two guys that I'm looking at this week for like kind of the first guy in, just like really underpriced. One is Ramondre Stevenson, but Damian Harris isn't officially out. They've just kind of indicated that maybe he's more likely not to play.
Yeah.
The other is Khalil Herbert for Chicago. Yeah. Damian Harris has been placed on the COVID list, so he's going to be a workhorse. Like the only other running back in town right now is Ryan Nall, and they've like never used him even when they've only had two running backs. So I feel like he's just massively underpriced this week.
Yeah, 5,500 on FanDuel for Herbert right now. I think he's going directly into a cash lineup just because of that value. I would agree that he would be one of the first guys into a lineup. Do we go to Stevenson as well?
Well, not on Friday, just because we don't know for sure Damian Harris won't play.
Okay, that works for me. So if we got Herbert in now, do we immediately go to someone like Lamar Jackson? He has a monster projection this week, which is always fun to see. It's a pretty good spot. You're expecting a lot of scoring, but he's only 8,200. Pat Mahomes is 9K, so he's $800 more expensive. Lamar Jackson is our highest projected quarterback right now by 3.5 points over Mahomes, and by what looks like 5 more over Kyler Murray at 8,400. I know he's expensive, but is he just going directly into a cash lineup given his floor, I guess you could say?
Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of a double whammy with this matchup versus the Chargers. Like they have a weak defense and also they have a good offense. So that's going to directly impact the quarterback projections, where quarterbacks run more when the game's close and they throw more behind. So I feel like both of those factors are in the favor of Jackson this week. He's like a snap cash lock.
Okay, that works for me. That's what I like to see. When I'm looking at our big board for FanDuel, Darren Waller is our highest ranked tight end right now. He's 7K, really sort of okay matchup, but even still 7K for Darren Waller, given his volume, no problems there. $6,300 Mark Andrews, on the other hand, also a part of this, mini Lamar stack. He had an absolutely monster day last week. I had a friend, well, maybe not a friend, a girl in my wife's fantasy football league was playing another girl down, or she was up 35 points or something going into Monday night. All she had was Mark Andrews. So she didn't even think twice. She just assumed she was going to win. And then Mark Andrews hung 38.5 or whatever it ended up being. And she got beat by a fantasy point based on that Mark Andrews day. So she was not very happy at that point. Are we looking to pay down more than the 6,300 for Mark Andrews? Are we looking to pay up to the Darren Waller spot? Or do we just want to wait at tight end for a little?
Yeah, I think Waller is probably the best option. We already have a value piece in there. And the amount of times the Raiders pass is a lot higher than the Ravens, which are one of the most run-heavy teams. So I would definitely lean towards Waller.
I know this shouldn't matter, but do you have any nervousness going to the Raiders, given the sort of tumultuous nature that their team has been through over the past week?
Well, that's a good point, but Darren Waller, like he's been getting targets like no other tight end pretty much, and I guess it's possible that with the head coach change, the Raiders aren't as pass heavy, but so far this year they've been at 38% rushing, which has been one of the lower marks in the league.
Works for me. I'm happy to go to Waller. I like him. So we've got Jackson, we've got Lamar Jackson, we've got Herbert, we've got Waller into the lineup. It's probably time to grab a wideout now. Davante Adams is at the top of the big board, 8,500 going up against the Chicago Bears. Can we go to Davante Adams right out of the gate, or do we need to look to someone like perpetually owned, for me at least, Jacoby Myers?
Yeah, both of them are good, and we should be able to make both of those guys work. So let's put them in
there. Breaking news: the Philadelphia Eagles sending Zach Ertz to the Arizona Cardinals for a corner and a 5th-round pick.
Man, why couldn't they have done that on Wednesday, or we could actually like make some moves on this?
How quickly can this happen? Like, can he play Sunday? Can he play 2 games in 1 week?
No, there's actually a rule in the NFL they can't play 2 games in 1 week.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I had no idea. Well,
there are some guys that have played like an extra game because like they didn't have a bye week essentially, but that's the only way.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. All right. Well, let's get Davante Adams into the lineup. Let's also go ahead and get Jacoby Myers in. He ranks 6th on the overall big board for this week. So I'm following along with what's on screen. Myers in, Davante Adams in. You could probably just pencil Davante Adams in for the rest of the year too, given the volume that this dude gets. I like this lineup so far. Jackson, Herbert, Myers, Adams, Waller. We need a running back, a wideout, a flex spot, and a defense. And we've got 6,250 on average across each spot. And defense is probably not going to be 6,250 for this bad boy. So we're probably looking at something in the 6,500 range across the board. Who else stands out to you as a cash option on FanDuel?
Yeah, so let's see. The running backs, they're standing out. Eckler is kind of high, but a matchup versus Baltimore is a little scary. But on the other hand, I think he's the only healthy running back. Like, yeah, everyone else has a questionable tag. So I don't know. Let's just come back to running back. Let's go to wide receiver. Looks like Jamar Chase has a sick matchup versus Detroit. We have him as the 3rd wide receiver on the board. So what do you think about Chase?
Yeah, I think Chase works. I think Cooper Kupp works. A little bit more expensive than Chase. Great matchup against the Giants. Obviously, Chase and the rest of the Cincinnati wideouts looking great against Detroit. Sorry about that, by the way. CeeDee Lamb, I think, looks pretty good for $7K. He's a little cheaper than Jamar Chase. Similar-ish rankings here, but I'd be happy to slot Chase in. He's been exceptional as a rookie.
Definitely. Let's see it.
And unfortunately, it's, the Lions defense just not all that good. So certainly helps out Jamar Chase quite a bit. That leaves us 5,700 per spot for the running back, flex, and defense. Do we want to just put defense to bed and figure out what we have for running back and flex?
Yeah, let's take a look at defense.
Alrighty.
So the highest guys on the big board or highest team. Vikings, but there's the Colts are 4,700 versus Houston. We have the money. We might as well just spend up because Davis Mills is pretty not been that great, and Indianapolis's defense is actually pretty good.
All right, so if we slot the Colts D in there, we need a running back, we need the flex spot, and we've got 12,500 to do it.
Nice.
All righty, so I'm going back to that big board. I'm going to stop filtering by defense. Running back, wide receiver, tight end. That's what we're looking for. In terms of savings, we already have Herbert in the lineup. We already have Myers in the lineup. If we're trying to go to something slightly below that average, anything in the high 5s to, ultra low 6s is probably the direction we want to go. I'm going to go 6,200 just as the filter to see who's the best. Robbie Anderson, 5,500 is the highest ranked guy I can see that I think would be feasible here.
There's some other interesting guys like Darrell Williams at 5,200 with no CEH. You got Noah Fant, who could be our flex play. He's 5,800 and he he's in a spot where they don't really have any wide receivers of note. So but I guess we need a running back.
Yeah. Darrell Williams, I think, seems best there since we need a running back.
All right, let's do Darrell Williams.
And if we go to Darrell Williams, God, there's so many Williams. I searched for Will and immediately got like 27 guys before it got to Darrell Williams in my search. That leaves us 7,300 at the flex.
Nice.
It's not bad. CeeDee Lamb is 7K. He slots in pretty easily. Darrell Henderson is 7,300. He and CeeDee Lamb are pretty comparable in the big board rankings. Would you rather go to Lamb or to Darrell Henderson in this spot, or someone else?
I would lean towards Henderson, I guess. He's got a great matchup versus the Giants. And yeah, they've been giving him a ton of run whenever he's been healthy.
I think we just knocked this one out of the park right out of the gate without having to make any real tweaks. Contrarian ranking, less than 10%. Value ranking, greater than 90%.
Nice.
Stuck the landing. So for anybody that's just tuning in for the first time, from a cash perspective, we want as high of a value as you're going to get. We want that to be greater than 90%. For contrarian, we want that to be less than 10%. We hit the mark. I wouldn't really be looking for anything other than exactly what we got here. Now, there are different ways to get to greater than 90 value, less than 10 contrarian. But in this particular case, I don't see what we would change other than additional information coming up to Sunday.
Definitely.
Nailed it. God, when we're good, we're good. All right, schedule for the rest of the day. Awesemo betting show coming up at 1 p.m. Eitan and Ben. Awesemo fantasy football show coming up at 2 o'clock. Eitan, Laffy, Matt Savoca. We've got the 3 o'clock Yahoo NFL show with Adam Kaufman and Eric. We've got the 4 o'clock Prize Picks college football show with Jordan and Makajeski. And then we close out the day, college football live before lock, 6:30 p.m. Ben and Matt taking you up to the college football lock at, I believe, 7 o'clock. And I got to hit on our sponsor for today. That would be Jock Market. They've turned fantasy sports into a stock exchange. You don't have to wait till the end of the game to get your money. You can sell your shares off immediately if you would like. You're buying and selling shares of players in real time with guaranteed payouts for all shares. And you're picking up all of those shares in a pre-game IPO phase. So you can do this for the NBA, MLB, NHL, PGA. My example for the MLB is always, you can buy shares of a leadoff hitter. He can hit a home run in his first at bat. You are more than welcome to sell those shares immediately, lock in a little bit of profit, or you can hold on those, potentially see him score some more fantasy points, get an even bigger payout. Maybe he ends up being the highest score. Whatever you want to do, you can do it all from the comfort of your own couch. You don't have to go anywhere. You can do this all on an app on your phone. Use the promo code Awesemo when signing up. Get a $50 deposit bonus on that first deposit. I didn't say that the best way, but you know what I mean. It's an instant match deposit bonus. This offer is exclusive to the Awesemo community. Make sure you're taking advantage of it today. Again, that's Awesemo is the promo code for a $50 bonus on your first deposit. Now, this one's going to be the fun one. I can see the poll already being run. Which team should we stack for a DraftKings GPP? The choices were Rams, Cardinals, Bengals, and Packers. Seems like nobody cares about the Packers. Only 5% of the run there. If you haven't voted in the poll, get your vote in now. And then hit that like button. 250 viewers in here, just 56 likes. Let's run that number up to 100. And if we can get 100 likes, we should be able to get 100 votes as well. Make sure you're picking that vote in our chat. Right now, we're going to the Bengals, which is going to be a very fun stack, given they have 3 pass catchers that look really good this week. I'm very curious to see where this goes, but it seems to me we're going Bengals, and they had a positive leverage score last I looked in our boom busts or in our top stacks tool. Seems like we're going Bengals, boss. Nice. You ready to make a Bengals stack?
I'm stoked for a Bengals stack. They started off more run heavy, but last week they only ran the ball 28% of the time in neutral game scripts. So you can see that on our advanced stats page. I think that that's pretty inspiring if we want to get a GPP winner performance.
Well, we've got Joe Burrow locked and loaded. I'm going to you for this next question. What in the world do we do for pass catchers here? Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. If you want to say CJ Uzoma, that's fine to me as well. We can easily grab 2 of these pass catchers if we want to. What is your first thought for how to stack up Cincinnati against your Detroit Lions?
One note with the running percentage. I guess Joe Mixon was kind of banged up last week, so there might be a correlation there.
Okay.
Okay, so I think there's 4 good options, and that's really good for stacking because you're not going to have a similar lineup to as many people. So Uzoma is kind of the contrarian option. He's only been targeted 10% of the time, but he's been out there 78% of routes, which is a very high for a tight end. And then Boyd, Higgins, and Chase, all very, very solid. So honestly, I think I need something to break a tie here. So I'm gonna pull up the boom bust tool. You got it open?
I have it open. Yes, I do. I do have it open now.
Let's look at the Cincinnati, the Bengals guys to see maybe who the leverage guys are. So it looks like Jamar Chase has the highest leverage. It's just funny because he's the most popular.
Yeah. Also, pretty significantly the highest boom score. I did want to hit you with one question. Do you have any problems going to say, like, I'm just going to pick an extra wide receiver. It doesn't matter really who the wide receiver is in this scenario. Do you have any problems going to say Mixon and Chase?
Well, Mixon, I'm a little bit worried about the workload given last week.
Sure.
I think it can be a good strategy to go running back and receiver in your stack because like you need the whole team to be doing well for the running back to get there. So
yeah,
I think that's fine, but it's not my first choice.
I think Chase has to be in there. Given his boom percentage, given the positive leverage, highest optimal score for us, he is pulling some ownership, but I don't find that to be all problematic. So I'm happy to go to Chase, not just in our cash lineup on FanDuel, but also in our GPP lineup on DraftKings.
Nice. Yeah, let's go Chase. And then what do you think about Uzoma? He's only getting 2.4% ownership. Is that digging too deep?
I don't think so. 3,100. So you're getting the value out of it. If CJ Uzoma catches a touchdown, you're probably happy about the play that you've made. At least you get the correlation. It's a cheap touchdown at a tight end spot. So I don't mind it at all. The alternative is that TJ Hawkinson is our run back at tight end.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Because he's only 5K. Like, that's not all that crazy of a price tag if you need to get a piece of the Lions. And the game is close enough that while I'm not a huge Lions fan, they're only 3-point dogs.
I kind of like Tyrell Williams as a run back. I mean, it sounds crazy because he hasn't played like in weeks, but he had a concussion. So I'm not really worried about him being limited when he does come back. And it happened in the very first game. So like he was supposed to be the wide receiver 1. He didn't play that much in that game. So I don't think people are going to be really comfortable rostering him, but I think he's a safe bet to be out there a lot.
I don't know if he's going to play.
Well, I saw that he was trending towards playing in week 6. So let me just, I guess this is a Friday lineup, so maybe he's not great to slot in at this point, but
yeah, I don't think that he's gone through the concussion protocol yet.
Oh yeah. Oh, he says it isn't on track. My bad. So
no worries.
I'll have to update that.
How does that change our options here then? Because if he's not in, does that open up anybody that's more interesting for you?
Yeah. Let's see. The Cephas is out, so that definitely opens up more routes for other players. It looks like Kadero Hodge got the bulk of that last week. That might be a little bit of a deep flyer, but they really don't have anyone else that would play. So I have a feeling no one's going to be on them. And if we're doing like a large field tournament, that could be an appealing option.
Don't want to ask you this on the stream, but I have no choice. What is our option for putting him into our lineup if he's not in our lineup builder?
Yeah, I'll have to update that. So let's go with the more chalky option. How about Amon-Ra St. Brown? Like, he hasn't had a breakout game yet, but he has been in the media being them saying they have to get him the ball more. So I just don't like Hawkinson's price at 5K. Like, I feel like that's a little bit too high.
That's fair. So we'll get St. Brown in. I assume we are now going to Awesemo. That should make our stack a little bit rarer.
Yeah.
More rare. I don't know which one's correct there. It's either more rare or rarer. It could be both. Who the hell knows? I'm a math guy, not an English major. All right. Burrow in 2-man Bengals stack along with the bring back for St. Brown. We now have about 6K for 2 running back spots, a wideout, a flex, and a defense. I think the first thing that we're doing here is just going to whoever we find to be the best play that we can get to that isn't a part of this stack. So who do we want to add as our first option in that has no tie to Bengals Lions?
Well, it looks like Tim Patrick is really high on our leverage rankings. He's been someone that with no Jerry Jeudy or KJ Hamler, he played 98% of dropbacks last week. And Bridgewater, he has been pretty effective this year. So maybe a breakout candidate there.
I like it. I love the leverage score, 5,100. That salary, I think, works pretty well. We have 2 running back spots, the flex and the defense opened up. Darrell Henderson is our biggest leverage score on a running back. He is pulling some ownership, but also 6K. That is below our current average salary. We don't have any running backs. I think Henderson fits in pretty well here.
Yeah, I like Henderson. I mean, he's been getting a monster workload, so he makes a lot of sense.
6,200 on average, running back, flex, and defense. We're sort of in the same spot that we were previously for our cash lineup, in that I think we're probably in the best spot to pick our defense now and then finish off with another running back and a flex.
Yeah, let's do it.
And the floor is yours. I'll let you pick the defense.
So it does look like in our optimal lineup percentages on the boom bust, it's a very flat thing where the highest percent chance is only 8% for any team to crack the optimal lineup. So does look like dang. One option is if we didn't want to stack the Detroit player, we could go with the Bengals defense. They look pretty appealing, but since we already have St. Brown in there, let's go with
we got $2,300 Ravens D.
Yeah.
Cardinals or Vikings are both there for us.
What the Vikings? Let's see, they're taking on Carolina this week, and Sam Darnold, he's been better this year, but yeah, I think that could be a good spot.
All right, Vikings are going in. It's going to leave us a pretty sizable chunk of change for our final 2 spots. Running back and flex. We have 15,700 remaining. That's 7,800 per spot. We can get legitimate talent in the rest of this lineup.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's get some studs because we got our sleepers already.
Well, we know we need a running back, so we can put that to bed almost immediately. The highest optimal guy for this week we already have. That's Darrell Henderson. Next up is $7,900 Austin Eckler, pulling some ownership, nothing crazy. DeAndre Swift at 6,300, not someone we're going to be going to given the current stack we have. Are we just going directly to Eckler?
I think I'm second guessing this. I feel like maybe we should get Swift instead of St. Brown, like just because like he's the guy that'll probably benefit if Cincinnati is having a big game throwing the ball. So I don't know. What do you think about switching that?
Yeah, I'm all for it. If we swap out St. Brown for Swift, we have 6,800 for a wide out and a flex spot. So nice. We're still sitting on a pretty nice chunk of salary. If I look down for wideouts, we already have Jamar Chase in at 6,700. That would have been perfect. Devontae Adams is at the tip of the spear right now at 9K, but our 3rd highest optimal guy, negative leverage on Cooper Kupp. Our 4th highest optimal guy, negative leverage on Tyreek Hill. We don't have Jacoby Myers in a lineup at 5,500 right now, and he has pretty significant positive leverage for being our 6th best optimal play. Do we just go to Jacoby Myers and then pay up for whatever the best thing is that we can get at flex?
I like Jacoby Myers. Yeah, I think he has kind of a reputation of not being a touchdown scorer because he has 0 touchdowns in his career in 116 catches. But that is just such a anomaly because I can't think of any reason why like he wouldn't be good at touchdowns since he's 6'2". Like the guys that usually don't get touchdowns are like on the shorter side. Also, I mean, you can get a touchdown from any distance. So I don't know. What do you make of the fact he has 0 touchdowns?
I could be wrong. I think I saw a tweet where it said that Jacoby Myers hasn't scored a touchdown since high school or something along those lines. It was like some sort of really ridiculous stat. I mean, I think there's something to it in that it's probably also not like his style once they get into a position where, you know, you're in the red zone or something like that. But anyone can break a touchdown. Like at some point in time, he's just going to be in a position where no one's in front of him and he can run unimpeded to the end zone. Like anybody can have that happen. So like, it's certainly a lot of noise, but I think there's probably at least something to the style of play that he has.
Probably. It's like tough because you look back last year as like Cam Newton was the quarterback.
Yeah.
So it's like a whole different dynamic this year. But man, yeah, I wonder, like, well, let's look at some odds for him to score a touchdown because I know that's kind of a diversion, but let me pull that up real quick. Let's put him in, and then we'll circle back. And
so if we put Myers in, it leaves us 8,100. Austin Eckler or Cooper Kupp are the 2 best options in our price range right now, whether that's Eckler at 7,900 or Cooper Kupp at 7,900. If we go to Eckler, we get a 90% value rating and a 20 to 30% contrarian ranking. If we don't go to Eckler and we change our mind and we go to Cooper Kupp instead, it's basically the same situation. 90% or more value ranking, 20 to 30 on contrarian.
That's pretty solid. They add up to more than 100, so I think we can categorize that as a good lineup. Okay, Jacoby Myers is plus 180 on DraftKings to score a touchdown. I mean, you can't rely on these verbatim because they don't allow you to bet on the other side, but that just shows that like the books think he does have a pretty significant chance to score.
Right. He's likely to score like once every 2 weeks based on those sort of rates. And he has not scored once every 2 weeks to this point.
Yeah. I'm wondering what the chat is saying about Jacoby Myers. So, anyway.
I mean, the volume's there.
Yeah.
So would you rather go to Eckler or Kupp? It doesn't appear to change like our grand scheme of our lineups, but if you have a preference there to slot him in just to put the finishing touches on it before we get out of here.
I'd rather go to Eckler just because we already have Darrell Henderson, and although there's not a strong correlation between running back, wide receiver, I'd rather just pick someone from a different team.
All righty. Well, then if Eckler is in, that completes the lineup. $200 left over, 90% or greater value, 20 to 30 on contrarian. Dare I say, boss, but this might be the best one we've ever done. We knocked it out of the park. We didn't have any like mismatches. We didn't recommend guys to play on Thursdays or Mondays or anything like that. We made 2 lineups pretty much immediately and they both worked out. So kudos to us.
Nailed it.
It's good stuff. Do you have anything else you want to add before we get out of here? We hit our mark.
Just guys, should be a really good week. Keep an eye out for some late value because it does look like there's a lot of questionables this week. So that'll be a lot of fun. And good luck this week.
There we go, guys. Tons of content coming up for the rest of the day. A lot more NFL content today, tomorrow, and 4 more hours on Sunday morning. It's the only way that you guys should be starting your NFL Sundays. So come join us for that. Good luck this weekend. Win some money, everybody. Hit the like button on your way out the door. We'll talk to you again later on.